Coming up on this Finding Truth Prophetic Network interview.
You're saying, wow, like, oh, the Lord has things for you to birth. And I feel like that's the timing and the season word.
And what we overcome, we have an anointing to set other people free from.
Hello, welcome to Finding Truth Prophetic Network. I'm ReGina Duncan, and I will be your host for today. And I am here with my friend Melinda Lagaay, and I am happy to introduce you to her. We were just talking before we started the video, and I'm fascinated. I am literally fascinated by your journey, and I'm so happy that you were highlighted as someone who could come on here and just share with us some things about you and tell us all about your journey.
Yes, I'm so excited to be here. Such an honor, Regina. I just love you. And it's great to be here with all of you. I am a licensed pastor at Bethel Church. I work for Igniting Hope Ministries, Steve and Wendy Backlund, and I'm married. I have three amazing adult children. And so they're all, one of them lives at home, but the other two are away at college. And so, yeah, I have published two books and I just love my life right now. It's really great. And, but it took me a long time to get there. It wasn't always that way. And so part of my journey is just coming out of a lot of trauma, a lot of pain, and even a marriage that almost fell apart. And so coming out of a season of really feeling like I am in survival mode, and I felt that way most of my life. I mean, forget about dreaming. My new book is all about dreaming with God, but for the longest time I was surviving. And so dreaming, this whole idea to even that we're allowed to as Christians, like dream with our Father was just not something that ever even occurred to me until I started diving into this book. And so yeah, it's been a fun journey and yeah, just excited to dive in and talk to all of you about what that's looked like. And I just believe it's going to be really encouraging for people today.
Yeah, like you're such an overcomer. And like I said, I'm fascinated by your story because I've watched your journey and I see the fruit in your life, but I've also noticed how much you love the Lord and your husband and your family and even the people around you. You are just filled with the Father's heart. So could you tell us a little bit about like, well, you said, you had a lot of trauma and you didn't know you could dream with God. Can you hit on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I love the Lord. He saved my life, my marriage, everything. And so my marriage almost fell apart, 9 years ago now, and my husband was not saved and he had been having affairs and everything came out one night. And then prior to that, childhood, you just go through a bunch of childhood trauma. So when we got married, it was basically I was saved later in our marriage, but it was two broken people coming together. And so we came together with really no concept of love of the Father. We did not know any of that. We came together with all of our brokenness. And so really just coming out of that season. And so really cool. I'll make it somewhat quick, but our marriage, the night everything, all the affairs came out, I discovered a text on my husband's phone. But and you might be watching this and think like, whoa, this is really intense. And it is, I'm not making light of it, but Jesus came in and actually encountered my husband that night and he got saved. He was born again and but there was still a process after that, a journey of kind of coming out of that season, a journey of healing, a lot of inner healing, a lot of deliverance, a lot of things that we needed that we didn't know we needed. And ultimately, the Lord led us up to Redding, California, up to Bethel Church, where we attended ministry school together. And that was kind of the beginning of our healing journey and really, really going after God. And so where I am now feels like it's in a completely different place. So there might be people watching and you're finding yourself in this hard season or wherever whatever it is, maybe you haven't gone through what I've gone through, but we all experience pain and we all go through certain things and yeah, I just want to encourage you that, there is hope for no matter what situation you're in. If he can heal my marriage, God can do anything. And he's so good. So moved up to Reading and started going to ministry school. I'm not sure how much of my story you want to get into, but
Yeah, you know what? I think there's and I want to thank you for your vulnerability, your transparency, sharing your life with us, sharing your hope. Because I think there's so many people out here that may be going through, have gone through, will go through something similar, and, won't share it.
Mhm.
So I thank you for your courage. I think you're awesome for just how you've shared your journey. And it does bring a lot of hope to people because sometimes when you're in that situation, you just don't see the way out.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes there's people where maybe the marriage doesn't work out, or maybe, there's all sorts of situations, and just different things. But, we came out of that season like just it just felt like my whole life I was just trying to keep my head above water, just trying to survive. But I started working for this amazing man named Steve Backlund. He's a pastor of Bethel Church, and his ministry is all about mind renewal and hope and joy. And I got around this man and I thought, and his wife, Wendy, who is also incredible, they have this ministry together. And I thought, wow, I have been limiting God. God's not limiting me. I'm actually limiting my father because of my belief systems, because I actually believe that he's kind of a harsh father. I don't believe he's really that good, but this is a season right now where God is taking us out of just surviving and just kind of barely getting by and actually moving us into dreaming. Like there are dreams on our heart to accomplish, and they're from the Lord. And for so long I used to have these thoughts about things I wanted to do, and I thought, oh, that's selfish, or kind of like this religious mindset of like, oh, is that really me, or is that being selfish? And God really brought me on a journey of like, hey, I really need you to dream again. And I was sharing with you prior to this that, I had a significant dream in the night one night
Oh,
where I
yeah,
was
this is good.
I was holding these 14 gold coins, and this was such a vivid dream. And I actually looked up 14 in the Bible, and it means it has to do with the generations. There are 14 generations between Adam and so. There were 14 generations leading up to Jesus. And so it's a generational dream, and it was all about inheritance. So my husband was in the dream, he was standing next to me. And I knew in the dream that the 14 gold coins represented $1 million, but it represented the talents that I had, and it represented my inheritance, and it really represented the dreams on my heart. And there was a woman in the dream too. And I knew the woman right away when she was after my gold coins, and I knew it was a spirit of intimidation. And I remember being so annoyed. Why is this woman coming after me? What is going on? Why is she trying to steal my gold coins? Well, I woke up and I prayed, and I just heard the Lord say, and I felt so strongly like, the enemy comes after our dreams. Like he doesn't want us to step into what we're called to do. And what he tries to do is tries to make believers feel guilty or shrink back and kind of like hide and bury your talents, basically, because if you do that, Ephesians 2:10 says we were created in advance for good works so that we can walk in them. And what I started to do, I found in that prior to having that dream, I'd kind of pulled back a little bit. I was kind of like, oh, I don't need to do that because I can just, and I knew God was asking me to write the book I just wrote, but I found myself kind of pulling back and just kind of shrinking back. And the dream, it didn't make me feel condemned at all. It actually made me feel like this is a good father who's reminding me of what I have and reminding me that it wasn't just about me, because our dreams aren't just for us, it's for others. The books we write, the things we do, whatever it is on our heart to do, this podcast, like this is just stewarding what God has put on your heart for to serve the body of Christ, right? Because our inheritance is all about serving other people, right? And so that dream was just a wake-up call, like, hey, you have things that other people need. And I even think of the man that I work for, Steve Backlund. His ministry has impacted thousands of people. Igniting Hope Ministries he reaches people, he travels, he goes all over the world. And I think to myself, what if he buried his talents? What if he never started Igniting Hope? I think of, what if you never did this podcast? I always think like, and it's not condemnation, but it's just like, I just feel like this is a season where the Lord's just inviting us into permission to dream and to do the things that are on our heart to do, that it's actually our Father wanting to birth things through us.
Yeah,
So,
I love what you're saying because I feel like there's an impartation for the audience, to just deal with that spirit of intimidation, like to grab onto the impartation of your walk with God and how you've overcome so that you could love and serve the body of Christ.
yep.
And then you're
Yep.
saying, wow, like, oh, the Lord has things for you to birth. And I feel like that's the timing and the season word. That's the truth right now. And I feel like it's almost like pushing into or pushing on, pushing the audience to see that you're carrying something that you can birth.
Oh yeah, I knew the dream. It wasn't just about me. It wasn't like, oh, you have these things. It was like you have things other people need and so does the body. Like this is the I think the problem in the church sometimes we feel either like we feel unqualified. The enemy makes us feel these things. These are lies from the enemy or like we can't do it. But what that dream was like such a wake-up call to talk about it because other people have things that they're on their heart to do. And I even believe people right now are listening and there's things on your heart to do with God. There maybe that's a business, maybe there's like a course you're wanting to do, or maybe there's something on your heart. And yeah, I hear the Lord saying over you that it's the season, to do the things on your heart that those are actually that's God. It's like God's heart for you to step into who you were before the foundation of the world, like what you were created to do. And it's like this permission from heaven saying, He's just such a good dad. Like who wouldn't want at Christmas time to give their kids the best of everything? Like you want to do that for your children. And it's just like him being, saying like, "Hey, I'm giving you permission. You have all these things. You can move forward." And at least for me, and this is my own, I used to get so stuck in perfectionism and like getting it right that I almost didn't do anything because I was like, "Oh, what if I'm doing it wrong? Or what if, it's not exactly how it should be?" And I think that just that place is like not God's heart for us, to feel fearful, and what we birth is not perfect, but it's like something we create with God. Like my book is like it's like a I just view it like I wrote this with Jesus. Like this is a fun thing that I did with the Lord and it's going to help other people. And that's it. Like it's just and that I think that when we come out of this when I myself, I'm not preaching to people, I'm telling you my journey coming out of like this perfectionism in religion really was holding me back. It was so freeing. And part of that involved, renewing my mind to like, actually, this is what I'm created to do. And, the woman in the dream, I knew it was Jezebel. I knew it was Jezebel.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And, she's just a bully. She doesn't want you to realize who you are. But I love what Joyce Meyer says. Joyce Meyer says, the devil will give up when he realizes you're not going to give in, like you're going to keep going. And so, it's an invitation, I think, from the Father just to step into things that you've always wanted to do.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Melinda, for answering the call of God on your life and saying yes to writing this book with Jesus. Thank you for telling us how the Father gives you an invitation. And so we're going to take a little break. And while we go on this break, I want you guys to be thinking about what kind of things is God inviting you into, the Father inviting you into? What are you dreaming about in this season? And what excuses or mindsets or lies are you believing that you need to resist and stand up against to get the breakthrough? And we'll be right back.
Finding Truth Prophetic Network doesn't ask for donations. We believe you can support our work by supporting your own spiritual growth, faith walk, and the growth of your business or ministry. That's where sponsorship comes in. FTPN offers sponsorship and advertising opportunities to be displayed on our YouTube and Rumble channels, in our SourceFire News e-newsletter, on our social media profiles, in our Word archive, and on our website. If you have a business, ministry, products, or services that would be a great fit for our audience, please visit findingtruthpropheticnetwork.com/support now to learn more.
All right, so this is ReGina Duncan coming back from the break. Welcome back. Me and Melinda are just chatting it up here and talking about all the wonderful things and invitations from the Father. And I'm telling you, I'm just blown away. Like I wish I had a mind blown emoji. So because my head is coming off in a good way, right? Because you're helping me, right? We're getting the breakthrough. We're breaking through mindsets. You are a fierce warrior, and you're not going to let anything stand between you and a renewed mind. That's one thing I know.
No, and I want to say this, like this whole thing has been a journey. Okay. So it wasn't like just an overnight, like, okay, I've overcome all my bad mindsets. Like, you know, it took a while to build up hope was stolen from me. Like talking about hope, and like you said over the break so well, hope deferred. Sometimes we get in these seasons where it's like, oh my gosh, I've lost so much hope. I can't even think about dreaming again, or I don't even know what to think about. And so I think sometimes, I'll just share some keys that have helped me, because I think that, again, what you have, like if you're listening to this, like what you have or watching, is so valuable. It is so valuable. And what you offer, what you can offer, nobody else can say it like you. Nobody else can do it like you. And I think that's the place where the enemy really wants to get believers, is to make them feel like, I don't have anything special, or I don't have anything unique that people need. And I think that is probably the number one place, is really just to agree that like you carry something that nobody else has. Steve Backlund always says like, no one can say it like you. Maybe you have a restoration story in your marriage, and maybe you feel led to help women, or maybe you were abused and you feel led to help women get out of those situations or heal, or whatever it is, whatever dream is on your heart to accomplish, that those are actually things that God has put on your heart for a reason. And I think for me, it was like I had every excuse in the world as to why I couldn't do what I was called to do. But honestly, mostly it was just I was afraid. I was afraid to put myself out there. I remember when we went to do our first online marriage event, I was so scared, and I just had all these lies that I was believing. Like, is this going to help anybody? Is anybody gonna, are people gonna, there were all sorts of things that the enemy tried to throw at me. And these are very real. This is what the enemy does, right? He throws arrows at believers. And I remember just really struggling through that. And then, but the way to overcome that is really just to start renewing your mind to the truth and just stepping forward anyways. One of the big keys, like first key, is just doing it afraid. Even if you feel something, it doesn't mean you're not meant to do it. Even if you're feeling a little bit of fear, or you're feeling a little bit of resistance, that actually might be a sign that you're actually meant to do it, and the enemy's worried you're going to actually step into it. And so I've
Mm.
learned to actually view resistance as like I'm getting a workout. I'm getting a spiritual workout. I'm
Come
taking
on.
territory for the Lord.
I feel that.
There are going to be giants in the promised land, but I love what Bill Johnson says. The giants they're actually there for you so you can beat them. Like the Lord knew Joshua was going to encounter all these giants. It wasn't like a big surprise, but the Lord told him, be strong and courageous, because he was going to need courage. And courage isn't a feeling, it's just a choice to say, you know what? I'm going to move forward and take steps every day. And so, practically speaking, when I went to write a book, I mean, talk about it wasn't like it just was easy. It wasn't like it just rivers, it wasn't like just it went flowing. It was like just hard. Some days I didn't know what to write, or some days I would get stuck, or some days, but a huge key was just taking a step forward every day, regardless of how I was feeling. And eventually I started birthing a book. It was like, oh, before I knew it, I had 100 pages of writing. And before I knew
Wow.
it, I think, it took time, but it was like, I think sometimes, we get discouraged, and I would get discouraged and stop. But I realized like that not taking steps forward every day, which sounds really simple, but making time for it, like saying, hey, I'm just going to write 20 minutes a day, and I'm going to take steps forward. And that actually takes territory in the spirit. That actually sends a message to the enemy that you're not going to quit.
Ooh, I love that. Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What was it like to write the first page? Do you remember the first page, page one?
Well, I ended up throwing it away because, the thing is, when you write, it's not perfect. Like, so what has helped me, and this might be maybe a key to someone, I just like sitting down and journaling with the Lord, and I write out what I think I want to talk about. And then I remember, though, the first thing that I wrote actually ended up not making it into the book, because I actually, as I wrote, I kind of realized like, oh, actually, I think I want to, yeah, this is really good. I want to talk about this and this. It was kind of like a journey with me and the Lord writing together, and like, oh, I think this is really what I want to talk about. And so it's just a fun process. But the Lord said something to me one day when I was writing. He goes, Melinda, don't miss the middle. Like, don't miss this part with me of actually putting this together. This is the fun part, of doing something with God, and not for God. You're doing it with him. So yeah, so I didn't keep the first part of it, but the thing is to just keep going, and then just pull out what the pieces that you're like, oh, I could do this. I can pull this in, and it might not be a book, whatever it is, a podcast, a business, whatever it is. You just kind of take steps forward every day, and whatever to whatever capacity that looks like for you.
Man, I love that. Okay, we're going to take another short break, but as we take this break, just soak in the presence of the Lord because I just really feel the anointing on this.
Thank you.
I just feel like the sweetest presence of the Lord
Mm,
when you say, we just have done this together and
mm,
don't miss the middle. That
mm.
there is just a honey in the atmosphere right now. And I hope you can feel it too as you listen to this broadcast during the break.
If your life was a book, do you have a few broken chapters, times of struggle, loss, pain, or hardship? God, the author and finisher of our faith, can rewrite the broken chapters of our lives. If you or a friend could use some encouragement, hope, and true testimonies of God's power and love, there is a special book just for you called Broken Chapters, 21 testimonies of how God rewrites our life stories. This collection of short stories from people who faced difficult circumstances and saw God working will help you see that God does care. He does work things out, and He can do the same for you. Get your copy of Broken Chapters today on Amazon, available in Kindle or paperback.
Hi, you guys. Welcome back. We had another great little chat during the break, and we're here now to tell you more about your book.
Yes. So this was a fun book to write, and this is the one that I was actually avoiding writing because I was just kind of afraid to do it, and I had all these perfectionistic ideas of what it would look like. But this is the author copy, which is why there's normally not a line going through it, but it's called Dare to Dream Again and Breaking Free from Fear, Intimidation, Unworthiness, and Step into Your God-Sized Dreams. Really a journey about just overcoming and having permission to dream again and step into those dreams. So it's very practical, and it's also just my story of overcoming the fear that the enemy tries to throw at you anytime we step into something new. And there's a little bit in there of my story as well of just overcoming, all the things I went through. It's in there as well, but it's mainly about really stepping in who you're created to be. I believe this with all my heart that every single person has a unique calling. There is nobody that can say it like you. There's people that I will never reach that you are going to be reaching. And it's not for pressure or condemnation at all. It's just an invitation from the Father to if there's things on your heart to do, I would say you have full permission to do it and to step into who you already are and who you were created to be. And
Yeah.
so that's really what the book is.
So what do you say to the person who's like just got just discouraged, cast down, like walking in fear, like just feeling like I've done everything I know how to do and just nothing's ever going to change or get better. Like
You
I'm
know
just
what?
tired of crying. Help
I-
me.
I've had months like that. I've had seasons like that where again, it goes back to calling it like survival mode, where you feel like I'm just trying to figure out what to serve family dinner, with. I don't even know, forget about dreaming. Like, I don't even know what I'm going to cook for dinner tonight. And that's kind of where I lived for a long time. And I'm not making light of it because I know that there's genuine people going through really hard things. And I'll tell you, like, the season where my husband's affairs came out, it was like that same season. Right after that, my dad was diagnosed with cancer. My mom was going through a divorce. There were so many things happening in my life that I literally thought, I don't know if I can handle one more thing. It was like so much was happening around me, and it was so chaotic. And I think sometimes there are also seasons in God, and recognizing that it's okay if you feel like this isn't your right this second. Hey, I'm not going to go out and write a book tomorrow. But I think also at the same time, giving yourself permission to just sit down and dream and not allow the enemy to make you feel like there's no hope for your future. Because my situation looked hopeless for a long time. I mean, you would have looked at my marriage, everything that was going on around me, and it was like just total chaos. But God is faithful. He brings us not only through those seasons, but out even better and stronger on the other side. And what we overcome, we have an anointing to set other people free from. So we get to not only step out of those things, but we actually get to impart that to other people and set other people free. I feel like I'm like a force to be reckoned with now. Now it's like the enemy, and he doesn't want people to realize like what you have inside of you is actually so significant. So if you're just in a place where you feel like you're in survival mode, I would say it's okay to have all those feelings and to be there and to go through a healing process. I went through inner healing and deliverance, and it was a season where I really needed to heal. And that's really important. So it's important not to bypass those processes and just let the Lord do the work in you. But at the same time, even if you're in that place, still allowing yourself to think about the future, that it's like, hey, this might be happening to me right now, but God's going to get me through this, and there are things for me to do, and I'm going to step into those things, and so and I believe whoever's watching that, even just hopelessness is being broken off right now, and that even just like depression and things that have been just these spirits of heaviness are just leaving, even as I talk, that there is a fresh just release of hope just being released right now. And so, yeah, I just bless the audience.
Yeah, thank you for blessing the audience, and thank you for what you were sharing. And during the break, I found out that Melinda means honey. And I just love that, because the honey does make a huge difference when you're talking about forgiveness and reconciliation and thriving. You're talking about going through a process. I love how you said don't bypass the process of healing. Mm-hmm. You talked about inner healing and deliverance. And I feel like, what are some of the things that you could tell people to make a step towards inner healing and deliverance if they need it? Or how do you shatter a stronghold, like something you've been dealing with for a long, long time?
Well, I will say probably one of the biggest destiny blockers is unforgiveness. Now, I had to forgive my husband for a lot of really big things, but it's also the lies that we've believed about ourselves that happen, as a result of the events that have happened to us. A lot of times there are lies, and those are strongholds that we've believed our whole life. And so when my husband's affairs came out, it was more than just the affairs. It was like, I actually felt rejected since my birth. Like, I'd always felt that way. I'd always had this rejection thing around me, and I couldn't ever put my finger on it. But when he did that to me, it sounds weird to say, but it wasn't him rejecting me. It was actually pulling something up that was already there. And I had to go in. And so part of it was forgiving my husband, and also identifying this lie that, like, I'm not rejected by my father. I'm actually, regardless of what your natural father is doing, it's like your heavenly father, you're accepted in the beloved, And so going through that journey of like renewing your mind, it just takes time. I always like to say, like, a stronghold, well, Steve says this too, a stronghold, it has a strong hold because it's been there for a long time. And so it's not like an immediate thing. It's like, you kind of like, we want to bypass it, but it's like mind renewal is just going after it every day. And eventually, like, James says, you resist the devil and he will flee from you. And so we just continue to like hold on to that truth, believing that it might not feel like truth to me right now, but it is truth, and it will feel like truth eventually, because that's what mind renewal does. Eventually you replace that stronghold with a truth, and that actually becomes your reality you live in. And I'm a testament to this, because I had so many lies that I was believing, and it's not for condemnation. It was just like, okay. But you just, over time, you just meditate on the truth, and you continue to listen to podcasts like this. You continue to renew your mind with the word, and eventually you will be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Yeah.
So tell me, what was one of your big truths that you like was part of your journey that you took with you and you said and went after and held on to and believed?
Yeah, I mean, a big one was that not that I'm just not rejected, but that I'm completely accepted for the way that I am. I mean, Hebrews says he's perfected forever those who are being sanctified. And so this belief that, like, I'm accepted in the beloved, which is in Ephesians, I'm not only just not being rejected, but I'm actually accepted exactly how I am. That was a huge game changer for me. And realizing that even the dreams we want to step into, we're talking about dreams, those don't actually give us a better relationship with God. Like, you're just perfectly accepted the way you are, which sounds really simple and obvious, but for me, it was a subconscious belief system that I had, that I actually had to perform for love. And so when I actually recognized that oh my gosh, I'm perfectly accepted exactly how I am, it transformed me from the inside out, and it affected all my relationships. Because how it is with your kids, you feel the same way about them. Like, they're just loved. Whatever they do, regardless of what they do, they're just loved. And it's the same way with our Father. Like, we're just loved. And all the stuff we get to do with him is all wonderful as well. So that was a huge one for me. And then yeah, and you just, it's like an onion. There's lots of layers, and there's more, right?
I am so grateful for you going after that and even putting your finger on that and putting a highlight on that right now. Because all the audience found some truth today that we can all stand on. We're accepted in the beloved. We're accepted by the Father. And irregardless of whether we work, we don't have to work to earn love, that he just loves us the way that we are. And that is so beautiful and freeing. And that's what makes God desirable.
Yes.
Going after him because of he's good. Like I think when I was talking about your name being meaning honey, it was like I could taste honey, and it was like taste and see that the Lord is good. It's like you're his salt, you're his light, and you're the representation. So I know that for me, when I meet people like you and the audience has met people like you, I'm sure they want to find you again. So where can the audience find you if they want to look you up or?
Yes. Well, right now my website is being worked on, but you can find my books on Amazon. So Dare to Dream Again. It's Melinda Lagaay. You can look it up on Amazon. I actually have another book on deliverance as well, The Supernatural Power of Deliverance. And so those are my 2 books right now. And then I work at Igniting Hope Ministry. So you can find me there as well on the webpage. So ignitinghope.com. And yeah, so if you want to reach out to me, I'll also put I'll give you another contact as well that you can add, but feel free to reach out. And I'm just praying for you, praying for who's watching this, and just believing that God is moving people right now just out of hopelessness into hope.
Yes. Ooh, I feel that God is moving you into hope right now. And not only that, but he's reminding us that in this moment, take in the invitation to step into the truth of knowing that you are fully loved and accepted, and that you have permission and an invitation to dream with God. Even if you're struggling and you're in survival mode, even if you don't know what you're cooking for dinner tonight, it's you can sit down and dream with God. And not only that, what else I hear too that's very encouraging for me is that God will sit down and write a book with you.
He will be with us. Yes. Oh, thank you so much for having me, ReGina.
You're welcome. I feel so full.
Yeah.
I feel like what do you call it? Winnie the Pooh right now.
With your honey.
I just ate a jar of honey. All right. Thank you for tuning in, watching Finding Truth Prophetic Network. And we're going to sign off for now. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for watching the Finding Truth Prophetic Network. Want to support the kingdom work we're doing here at FTPN? A great way to support us is by simply subscribing to our channel. Click the subscribe button now, and thank you for watching.